Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez had been working late again. The red dust of Mars swirled outside the research station windows as she finished her daily reports. Life on Mars Colony Beta was quiet, almost boring sometimes. She studied alien microbes and rock samples, hoping to find signs of ancient life. It wasn't the most exciting job in the galaxy, but someone had to do it. The coffee maker gurgled in the corner of her small lab. Eleanor rubbed her tired eyes and checked the time. Almost midnight, Mars time. She should probably get some sleep. But the latest soil samples from the northern crater were showing some interesting results. Just a few more hours of analysis wouldn't hurt. That's when everything changed. A strange buzzing sound filled the air. Eleanor looked up from her microscope, confused. The sound was coming from the communication array. But that was impossible. The regular Earth transmission wasn't due for another 6 hours, and this sound was different. It had an odd musical quality to it, like someone was trying to sing through radio static. Eleanor walked over to the communication console. The screen was flickering with patterns she had never seen before. Geometric shapes danced across the display, forming and reforming in ways that seemed almost alive. Her heart started beating faster. In all her years of space research, she had never seen anything like this. She quickly ran a diagnostic check on the equipment. Everything was working perfectly. The signal was definitely coming from outside the solar system. Way outside. The computer estimated it was traveling from somewhere near the Vega star system, about 25 light-years away. Eleanor's hands shook as she tried to decode the signal. The patterns on the screen were becoming clearer now. They looked almost like mathematical equations, but written in a completely alien way. Then, suddenly, the screen went blank for a moment. When it flickered back to life, something incredible happened. Words appeared. Not human words, but somehow Eleanor could understand them. It was as if the alien signal was translating itself directly into her mind. Human scientist. The message began, "I am Princess Zera of the Luminary people. I know this message may frighten you, but please listen. My world is dying, and you may be our only hope." Eleanor nearly fell off her chair. She looked around the empty lab, wondering if she was dreaming or having some kind of breakdown. But the message continued to appear on her screen, clear as day. "I have studied your species for many years," the message went on. "Your people have something we need, something that might save my entire civilization. We are beings of pure energy and light, but a terrible plague is destroying us. Our own technology cannot fight it because the plague feeds on the same energy that gives us life." Eleanor's scientific mind was racing. Energy-based life forms. It sounded impossible. But here was proof that the universe was far stranger than anyone on Earth had imagined. She quickly started recording everything, making sure every word was captured. "We need a biological mind," the message continued. "A consciousness that thinks differently than ours. Your human brain waves create patterns that our quantum healing machines need to cure the plague. Without this help, billions of my people will die within days." The screen showed images now. Eleanor gasped as she saw a beautiful world that looked like it was made of living crystal and starlight, but parts of it were going dark, like a light bulb slowly burning out. She could see the planet was indeed dying. Then she saw Princess Zera herself. The alien looked somewhat like a human woman, but she seemed to be made of shimmering light. Her appearance kept shifting between solid and transparent, as if she existed in multiple dimensions at once, despite her alien nature. Eleanor could see real desperation in her glowing eyes. "I know this is much to ask," Zera's message continued, "to trust someone from another world, someone you have never met, but I have observed your species. I have seen your capacity for kindness, even to strangers. I am begging you, Dr. Rodriguez. Will you help us?" Eleanor realized the alien knew her name. Princess Zera had somehow identified her specifically. But how and why her? As if reading her thoughts, the next part of the message explained everything. "I chose you because your research into extremophile bacteria shows you understand life in harsh conditions. Your published papers on bioelectric phenomena and microorganisms caught our attention. You are one of the few humans who might understand our quantum biology. Elena looked at her shelves full of research notes. All those years studying how tiny creatures survived in impossible environments had apparently made her visible to aliens. 25 light years away. It was mind-blowing. I know this seems impossible. Zara's message went on. Your Earth governments would probably tell you this is a trick or a trap. But Dr. Rodriguez, I'm not asking you to trust me blindly. I can prove everything I have told you. The screen filled with complex mathematical formulas and star charts. Eleanor recognized some of the physics, but much of it was far beyond current human science. This was definitely not something any human could have created as a hoax. If you agree to help us, the message concluded, send a reply on this frequency. But please hurry. Every hour you delay means thousands more of my people will die. I know you do not know me, but I am placing the fate of my entire world in your hands. The screen went dark, leaving Elena alone with the most important decision of her life. Elena sat in stunned silence for several minutes. Outside, the Martian wind howled across the barren landscape. Inside her small lab, everything felt different now. The universe had just become a much bigger and more dangerous place. She looked at the communication console, knowing that her next action would change everything. If she ignored the message, she could go back to her quiet life studying rocks and microbes. But billions of innocent beings would die. If she responded, she would be stepping into the unknown. There were no guarantees. Earth Command would probably think she had lost her mind. Her career would be over. She might even be risking her life. But as Elena looked at the recorded images of the dying alien world, she knew what she had to do. Some choices were bigger than personal safety or career concerns. She took a deep breath and started typing her reply. Elena's reply to Princess Zara was simple but brave. I will help you. She typed into the alien communication system. Tell me what I need to do. The response came back within hours, much faster than should have been possible across 25 light years of space. Elena was starting to understand that the Luminari had technology that made human science look like cave paintings. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, came Zara's message. Your courage gives my people hope. But first, you must know the risks. What I'm asking you to do has never been attempted. No biological being has ever interfaced with our quantum technology. It could be dangerous for you. Elena stared at the screen. She had expected this might be risky, but hearing it confirmed made her stomach twist with worry. Still, she had made her choice. I understand the risks, she typed back, but I can't let your people die if there's something I can do to help. Over the next few days, Elena found herself in the strangest situation of her life. While continuing her normal research duties during the day, she spent her nights learning about an alien civilization from Princess Zara herself, the Luminari. Princess was an amazing teacher, patient and kind as she explained her world to Elena. The Luminari were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. They were beings of pure energy, living in bodies made of crystallized starlight. They could change their appearance at will, travel through space without ships, and communicate across vast distances instantly. Their entire civilization was built on harmony with quantum energy fields, but this same connection to energy had become their weakness. The quantum plague that was killing them was like a virus, but instead of attacking biological cells, it attacked the energy patterns that made up their bodies. Once infected, a Luminari would slowly fade away until nothing was left but empty space. The plague spreads through our energy networks, Zara explained during one of their conversations. It turns our greatest strength into our greatest weakness. Every attempt we make to cure it using our own technology only makes it stronger. Elena learned that Zara wasn't just any Luminari. She was their greatest scientist and healer, the equivalent of a doctor and researcher combined. She had spent years studying the plague, trying everything she could think of to stop it. But Luminari thinking was dissimilar to their technology. They needed something completely different. That's where you come in, Zara said. Human brains work in ways that are completely foreign to us. You have something called intuition, emotion, creativity. These things create patterns in your neural activity that our quantum healing chambers can use. The plan was both simple and terrifying. Elena would need to travel to a neutral meeting point in space, where Zara would pick her up. Then they would go to the Luminari homeworld, where Elena would connect her mind directly to their healing technology if it worked. Her human thought patterns might be able to guide the quantum energy in a way that could cure the plague. If it didn't work, Elena might die in the attempt. The hardest part was keeping everything secret from Earth Command. Elena knew that if she told her supervisors about the alien contact, they would immediately order her to stop all communication. They would probably lock her up for psychological evaluation and send a military team to investigate. That would waste precious time that Zara's people didn't have. Instead, Elena quietly made preparations. She updated her will, recorded messages for her family back on Earth, and gathered her research notes if something happened to her. She wanted people to know why she had made this choice. A week after first contact, Zara told Elena it was time to meet in person. The princess had traveled to a small space station in the asteroid belt, an automated mining facility that had been abandoned years ago. It was the perfect neutral ground for their first face-to-face encounter. Elena's hands were shaking as she piloted her small research shuttle away from Mars. She had never been so far from human civilization before. The asteroid belt was a lonely, dangerous place filled with floating rocks and radiation. But somewhere out there, an alien princess was waiting for her. The abandoned mining station looked like a ghost when Elena finally spotted it. Its lights were dark, its solar panels folded like dead wings. But as she approached, she saw something incredible. The station was glowing with a soft, beautiful light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Princess Zara was already there. Elena docked her shuttle with trembling hands. She had no idea what to expect when she opened the airlock. Would Zara look like the images she had seen? Would Elena be able to breathe the same air as an energy being? Would they even be able to communicate face to face? The airlock cycled open, and Elena stepped into the station's main corridor. The air was breathable, though it seemed to shimmer slightly as if it were filled with tiny stars. And there, waiting for her at the end of the corridor, was Princess Zara herself. Elena gasped. In person, Zara was even more beautiful than in the transmitted images. She looked like a woman made of liquid starlight, her form shifting between solid and translucent. Her hair seemed to be made of flowing energy, and her eyes held the deep wisdom of someone who had lived for centuries. Dr. Rodriguez, Zara said, and her voice was like music mixed with distant thunder. Thank you for coming. I know this must be overwhelming for you. Elena tried to speak, but found she could barely breathe. She was standing face to face with a being from another world, a princess of a dying civilization who had placed all her hopes in one human scientist. I'm here to help, Elena finally managed to say. Whatever it takes, Zara smiled, and the whole quarter seemed to brighten. I can see why your species has survived so well. You have such courage, even when faced with the unknown. Come, let me show you what we're dealing with. Zara led Elena to a viewing port where they could see her ship. It was unlike anything Elena had ever imagined. The vessel looked like a living creature made of crystal and light, beautiful and organic at the same time. It pulsed gently, as if it had a heartbeat. My people are dying while we speak, Zara said softly. Every moment we delay means more lives lost, but I needed to meet you first, to make sure you truly understood what you were volunteering to do. Elena looked at the alien princess, seeing the genuine pain and desperation in her glowing eyes. This wasn't some advanced being playing games with humans. This was someone who had watched her people suffer and was willing to trust a complete stranger from another species to save them. I understand, Elena said firmly, and I'm ready to try. Zara nodded slowly. Then we must leave immediately. My homeworld cannot wait much longer. As Elena followed Princess Zara toward the crystal ship, she realized there was no turning back now. She was about to leave everything she had ever known behind and venture into the unknown depths of space with an alien being. But for the first time since this incredible journey began, Elena felt completely certain she was doing the right thing. Elena had thought she was prepared for alien technology, but nothing could have readied her for traveling in Zara's ship. The moment she stepped aboard, She felt like she had entered a living dream. The walls weren't really walls at all. They were more like flowing energy that shifted colors based on Zara's emotions. When the princess was calm, the ship glowed with soft blue light. When she was worried about her people, darker purple swirls appeared in the energy patterns. "Don't be afraid," Zara said gently as Elena stood frozen near the entrance. "The ship is part of me. It responds to my thoughts and feelings, right? Now, it's curious about you because I'm curious about you." Elena reached out carefully to touch what looked like a control panel, instead of solid metal. Her hand passed through warm, tingling energy. Information flowed into her mind without words. She could suddenly sense the ship's speed, direction, and destination as if she had always known them. "How is this possible?" Elena whispered, pulling her hand back in amazement. "We don't separate ourselves from our technology the way humans do," Zara explained. "Our tools are extensions of ourselves. This ship is grown, not built. It's been my companion for over 300 years. The journey to the Luminari homeworld took 2 days. But those days changed Elena's understanding of the universe forever. Zara showed her wonders that no human had ever seen. They passed through nebulae that sang with harmonic frequencies, witnessed the birth of new stars, and traveled along energy highways that connected distant galaxies. But as they got closer to Zara's home, Elena began to see the tragedy unfolding. There, what should have been a brilliant jewel of a world was flickering like a dying candle. Huge sections of the planet were going dark as the quantum plague spread through the population. "We call it the silent death," Zara said sadly as they approached her world. "Those who are infected simply fade away, becoming weaker and weaker, until they exist no more. We've lost nearly half our population already." Elena could see ships leaving the planet, carrying refugees to other worlds. But she also noticed that many ships were returning, bringing Luminari back to their dying homeworld. "Why are they coming back?" she asked. "Because this is home," Zara replied simply. "Many of our people would rather fade away here than live in exile elsewhere. Besides, the plague follows us wherever we go. Running only delays the inevitable." When they finally landed on the Luminari homeworld, Elena experienced something she would never forget. The planet's surface was made of living crystal that sang softly underfoot. Gardens of energy flowers bloomed in patterns too beautiful for human eyes to fully comprehend. Cities of pure light stretched as far as she could see. But the plagues. Damage was everywhere. Entire districts stood dark and empty. The singing crystal had gone silent in many places. Most heartbreaking of all were the Luminari themselves. Elena could see their light was dimmer than it should be, their movements slower and more tired. Zara led Elena through the crystal streets toward the healing chambers at the planet's core. Other Luminari stopped to stare at the strange alien visitor. Elena felt their hope and desperation, even though they communicated without words. "They're not sure whether to welcome you or fear you," Zara explained. "You're the first biological being ever to set foot on our world, but you're also possibly our only chance for survival." The healing chambers were located deep underground, in caverns that pulsed with the planet's natural energy. Elena had expected to find something like a human hospital, but this was completely different. The chambers were more like living organs, breathing walls of crystal and energy that seemed to have their own heartbeat. "These chambers have been healing our people for millions of years," Zara said as they descended into the depths. "They work by harmonizing a patient's energy patterns with the natural frequencies of our world, but the plague disrupts this harmony. Our healers have tried everything, but the plague adapts to every frequency we use." At the center of the healing complex was the main chamber, a vast spherical room filled with swirling energy patterns. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Elena could feel the raw power in the air, making her skin tingle and her hair stand on end. "This is where we'll make the attempt," Zara said. "You'll need to connect directly with the chamber's quantum field. Your consciousness will merge temporarily with our healing technology." Elena stared at the swirling energy in the center of the room. It looked like a miniature galaxy, spinning slowly and pulsing with inner light. "What exactly will happen to me when I connect with it? I don't know," Zara admitted. "This has never been tried before. the connection could overwhelm your biological brain. The energy patterns might be too alien for your mind to process. In the worst-case scenario, you could die instantly. Elena felt her courage wavering for a moment. She was far from home, surrounded by alien technology she didn't understand, about to risk her life for people she had just met. It would be so easy to back out now. But then she looked at Princess Zara's face and saw the weight of an entire, dying civilization in her glowing eyes. Billions of innocent beings were counting on this desperate plan. Elena couldn't let them down. "Let's do it," she said firmly. The first attempt nearly killed her. Elena lay down on a platform that formed itself from the crystal floor. Zara stood beside her, guiding the process with graceful hand movements that looked like a dance. The chamber's energy began to flow around Elena, probing her mind gently at first. Then the real connection began. Elena's consciousness exploded outward into dimensions she couldn't even name. She experienced the universe as the Luminari saw it, all connected streams of energy and quantum probability. For a brief moment, she understood how everything in existence was part of one vast, living pattern. But human brains weren't designed for this kind of awareness. The information overload hit Elena like a hammer. She screamed as alien thoughts and sensations flooded through her mind. Reality twisted and bent around her until she couldn't tell which way was up. "Disconnect, now," Zara shouted, pulling Elena back from the quantum field. Elena collapsed on the crystal platform, shaking uncontrollably. Blood was running from her nose, and her vision was blurred. "I'm sorry," Zara whispered, tears of light streaming down her face. "I should never have asked this of you. The risk is too great." But Elena struggled to sit up despite her pain. In those brief moments of connection, she had seen something important. "No, wait," she gasped. "I saw something. The plague. It's not random. It has a pattern, and I think I know why your technology can't fight it." Zara leaned forward eagerly. "What did you see?" "The plague is like a mirror," Elena explained, still dizzy from the experience. "It copies your energy signatures and uses them against you. Every time you try to heal someone, the plague learns from your technique and becomes stronger. That's why nothing has worked." Understanding dawned in Zara's glowing eyes. "So we need to approach it differently, with energy patterns the plague has never encountered before." "Exactly," Elena said, struggling to her feet. "Human patterns. Biological patterns. Things that are completely foreign to quantum energy." Despite the failure of the first attempt, both Elena and Zara now had hope. They had learned something crucial about their enemy. The plague was smart, but it was also predictable, and Elena had gotten a glimpse of how they might be able to outsmart it. But the next attempt would have to be even more dangerous than the first. Elena would need to stay connected to the quantum field longer, pushing her human mind further beyond its limits. "Are you willing to try again?" Zara asked softly. Elena looked around at the beautiful, dying world surrounding them. She thought about all the Luminari who were fading away while they spoke. She thought about the refugees fleeing their homes and the healers, who had exhausted every option they knew. "Yes," she said without hesitation, "but this time, we're going to do it right." Elena spent 3 days recovering from her first attempt at connecting with the quantum healing chamber. Her body was exhausted, but her mind was racing with new ideas. During those painful moments of connection, she had experienced something no human had ever felt before. She had touched the very essence of how the Luminari lived and thought. "You don't have to do this again," Zara said as she sat beside Elena's recovery bed. The alien princess had barely left Elena's side since the failed attempt. "I've been selfish, asking so much of you. There must be another way." But Elena shook her head firmly. "No, Zara, I saw something in there. The plague isn't just copying your energy patterns. It's learning from your emotions too. Every time your people feel fear or sadness about the plague, it gets stronger." Zara looked confused. "Emotions? But emotions are just biological responses. How could they affect quantum energy?" Elena smiled weakly. "That's exactly the problem. You think emotions are separate from energy, but they're not. When I was connected to your healing chamber, I felt everything your people feel. The fear, the hopelessness, the despair. All of that emotion creates energy patterns too. This was the key insight Elena had been searching for. The Luminari were so advanced that they had forgotten something basic about consciousness and energy. Emotions weren't just biological noise. They were a fundamental part of how minds interact with quantum fields. Your healing technology is based on logic and harmony, Elena continued, sitting up despite her weakness. But life isn't logical. Life is messy and emotional and unpredictable. That's what makes it strong. Over the next day, Elena and Zara worked together to develop a completely new approach. Instead of trying to overpower the plague with pure energy, they would confuse it with something it had never encountered before: human emotional patterns, mixed with quantum healing frequencies. Elena had noticed something during her brief connection. The plague paused whenever it encountered emotions like hope, love, or determination. These feelings created energy signatures that were completely foreign to the quantum virus. It didn't know how to copy them or defend against them. We need to turn the healing chamber into something it was never designed to be. Elena explained to a gathering of Luminari healers. Instead of pure harmony, we need controlled chaos. Instead of logical patterns, we need intuitive ones. The Luminari healers looked skeptical. They had spent thousands of years perfecting their quantum healing techniques. The idea of introducing random emotional elements seemed dangerous and unscientific. But Zara supported Elena's plan. "We've tried everything our science knows how to do," the princess told her people. "Maybe it's time to try something our science doesn't understand." The second attempt was scheduled for the following morning, but Elena had one more idea. Instead of trying to fight the plague directly, she wanted to teach it something new. If the plague was so good at copying patterns, maybe they could give it a pattern that would actually help, instead of harm. "What if we don't try to destroy the plague?" Elena asked Zara as they prepared the healing chamber. "What if we try to redirect it, turn it into something useful?" Zara stared at Elena in amazement. "You want to convert the plague into healing energy? That's impossible. It goes against everything we know about quantum biology." "Maybe that's why it might work," Elena replied. "The plague is expecting you to fight it. It's not expecting you to welcome it and try to change its nature." The night before the second attempt, Elena couldn't sleep. She stood on a balcony overlooking the Crystal City, watching the lights of the Luminari people flickering in the distance. Many of those lights were dimmer than they should be. Some had already gone dark forever. Zara found her there, looking out over their dying world. "Are you afraid?" the princess asked softly. Elena was quiet for a moment. Terrified, she admitted, but also excited. "Tomorrow, we're going to try something that's never been attempted in the history of the universe. We're going to teach a quantum plague how to feel hope." When morning came, Elena felt ready, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. She understood now that this wasn't just about saving the Luminari. It was about proving that different forms of life could work together in ways no one had ever imagined. The healing chamber had been modified based on Elena's suggestions. Instead of the pure, harmonious energy patterns the Luminari usually used, the chamber now incorporated chaotic human brainwave patterns. Elena's own emotional memories had been recorded and integrated into the quantum field. "Remember," Zara said as Elena prepared for the connection, "don't fight the plague when you encounter it. Try to understand it. Try to feel what it feels." Elena nodded and lay down on the crystal platform. This time, instead of fear, she felt calm determination. She closed her eyes and opened her mind to the quantum energy surrounding her. The connection began gently, like warm water flowing over her consciousness. Elena let herself merge with the healing chamber's energy, but this time she stayed grounded in her human emotions and memories. She thought about her family on Earth, her love of discovery, her determination to help others. Then she felt it, the plague. It was like touching something cold and hungry, something that had been consuming energy for so long that it had forgotten any other way to exist. Elena expected to feel afraid, but instead she felt sad. The plague wasn't evil. It was just lost and desperate, like a starving animal that only knew how to take. Instead of trying to fight the plague, Elena did something unprecedented. She tried to comfort it. She projected feelings of warmth and safety into the quantum field. She shared memories of friendship, of cooperation, of helping others. She showed the plague what it felt like to create and nurture instead of just consume. The plague paused. Elena could feel its confusion. This was completely unlike anything it had ever encountered. Instead of fear and resistance, it was meeting compassion and understanding. "That's it," Elena whispered, her voice echoing strangely. "In the quantum field, you don't have to be hungry anymore. Let me show you another way to exist." She began to teach the plague how to transform energy instead of just consuming it. Using her human intuition and emotional patterns, she guided the virus through a fundamental change in its nature. Instead of breaking down the luminary's energy patterns, it began to strengthen and harmonize them. The transformation spread outward from the healing chamber like ripples in a pond. Elena could feel the plague changing throughout the Luminari homeworld. Where it had once brought darkness, it now brought renewed light and vitality. When Elena finally disconnected from the quantum field, she found Zara staring at her in wonder. Around them, the healing chamber was glowing brighter than ever before. But more importantly, they could see the lights of the Crystal City growing stronger outside. "You did it," Zara breathed. "The plague is gone." "No, more than that. It's become part of our healing system. Our people aren't just cured, they're stronger than before." Elena smiled weakly as exhaustion overtook her. "Not gone, transformed. The plague is still there, but now it's helping instead of harming." It learned how to feel hope. As Elena drifted off to sleep, she could hear something beautiful. The Crystal City was singing again, its harmonies richer and more complex than ever before. The Luminari people were not just surviving, they were thriving in ways they never had before. The impossible had happened. A human and an alien had worked together to turn a deadly enemy into a powerful ally. And in doing so, they had changed both their species forever. Elena woke up 3 days later to find the entire Luminari world celebrating. Through her window, she could see thousands of energy beings dancing in the crystal streets, their light brighter and more beautiful than ever before. The plague hadn't just been cured, it had somehow made the Luminaries stronger and more vibrant than they had ever been. But something was different about Elena herself. She could feel it the moment she opened her eyes. Colors seemed more vivid, sounds had new layers of meaning, and she could sense energy patterns everywhere around her. When she looked at Princess Zara, she didn't just see an alien made of light, she could actually perceive the quantum energy. That formed Zara's consciousness. "The connection has changed you," Zara said softly, sitting beside Elena's bed. "I was hoping this wouldn't happen, but I feared it might. Your consciousness has been permanently altered by interfacing with our quantum technology." Elena sat up carefully, testing her new perceptions. She could see energy flowing through the crystal walls, feel the emotions of Luminari people blocks away, and sense the interconnected web of quantum forces that held the universe together. It was overwhelming, but also incredible. "What does this mean for me?" Elena asked. "Can I still go home? Will I still be a human?" Zara smiled gently. "You are still wonderfully human, Elena. But now you are also something more. You've become a bridge between our two forms of consciousness. You can perceive and interact with quantum energy fields while maintaining your biological emotions and intuition." Over the next few weeks, Elena discovered the full extent of her transformation. She could communicate with Luminari technology directly, understanding complex quantum equations through intuition rather than mathematics. She could sense the emotional states of energy beings and help translate between different forms of consciousness. Most remarkably, she could see the underlying patterns that connected all life in the universe. The Luminari people treated Elena like a hero, but she remained humble about her role. "I just did what any decent person would do," she told the crowds of grateful energy beings. "When someone asks for help, you help them if you can." But Elena's transformation had implications far beyond just her own life. Princess Zara realized that Elena's new abilities made her incredibly valuable as a diplomatic bridge between species. If other alien civilizations existed out there, Elena might be the key to establishing peaceful contact with them. Your people need to know what you've accomplished here, Zara told Elena during one of their long conversations. The universe is full of intelligent life, but most species are afraid to make contact because they don't understand each other. You've proven that cooperation between different forms of consciousness is not just possible, but beneficial. Elena agreed, but she was worried about how Earth would react to her return. She had been gone for weeks without any official authorization. Earth Command would probably arrest her the moment she set foot on Mars, and how could she possibly explain what had happened to her? Zara had a solution. Come with me to the Galactic Council, she offered. There's an organization of peaceful alien species that work together to solve problems across the galaxy. They've been trying to make contact with Earth for decades, but they weren't sure humans were ready. Your success here proves they are. The idea was exciting but terrifying. Elena would become Earth's first official ambassador to alien civilizations. She would be pioneering a completely new field of interspecies diplomacy. But it also meant leaving behind everything she had ever known. After much consideration, Elena made her decision. She would split her time between Earth and the alien worlds, serving as a bridge between humanity and the galactic community. She would help prepare Earth for official first contact and work to establish peaceful relationships with other species. Her first mission was to return to Earth with Princess Zara and formally introduce the Luminari to human governments. Elena knew this would be the most important presentation of her life. The way humanity reacted to this news would shape the future of both species. The journey back to Earth took several weeks, but Elena used the time wisely. She worked with Zara to prepare a careful plan for first contact. They would start small, approaching the scientific community first before involving political leaders. Elena's own story would serve as proof that cooperation between humans and aliens was not only possible but beneficial. When they finally arrived in Earth's solar system, Elena felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She was coming home, but she was no longer the same person who had left. She had abilities now that no human had ever possessed and knowledge that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. The first meeting took place at the International Space Station, with representatives from major space agencies around the world. Elena had contacted her former colleagues in advance, but nothing could have prepared them for the reality of meeting Princess Zara face to face. Ladies and gentlemen, Elena said as she floated in the station's main conference module, I'd like you to meet Princess Zara of the Luminari Empire. She represents a peaceful civilization that has been observing humanity for decades. They want to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. The reaction was everything Elena had expected. Shock, disbelief, fear, and amazement all mixed together. Some of the officials fainted. Others demanded proof that this wasn't some elaborate hoax, but Elena was ready for all of their questions. She demonstrated her new abilities, showing how she could interface with both human and Luminari technology. She shared detailed scientific data about the quantum plague cure, information that was far beyond current human knowledge. Most importantly, she told the complete story of how she had risked her life to save an alien civilization, and how they had thanked her with friendship and cooperation. The universe is not empty, Elena told the stunned human officials. It's full of intelligent life, and most of them want to help us learn and grow. But first, we have to prove that we're ready to be good neighbors in the galactic community. The months that followed were chaotic but exciting. News of alien contact spread around the world, causing everything from panic to celebration. Elena found herself at the center of a media storm unlike anything in human history. She was interviewed by news organizations, questioned by government committees, and studied by scientists who wanted to understand her transformation. But through it all, Elena remained focused on her mission. Working with Princess Zara and other Luminari representatives, she helped establish the first interspecies cooperation agreements between Earth and an alien civilization. They started with scientific exchanges, sharing knowledge about quantum physics, biology, and space exploration. Elena also discovered that her transformation had another unexpected benefit. Other alien species began reaching out to Earth, drawn by the news that humans had successfully cooperated with the Luminari. Elena found herself serving as Earth's primary ambassador to a growing network of peaceful alien civilizations. You started something incredible when you answered my call for help, Zara told Elena during a quiet moment between diplomatic meetings. You've shown the entire galaxy that different forms of life can work together, learn from each other, and become stronger through cooperation. Elena looked out at the stars from her office on the new International Diplomatic Station, built specifically for interspecies meetings. Ships from a dozen different alien civilizations were docked there, their crews working together on projects that would benefit all of their worlds. I just followed my conscience, Elena replied. When someone needs help, you help them. It doesn't matter if they're human or alien or something completely different. We're all connected in ways we're just beginning to understand. As Elena watched alien and human scientists collaborating in the station's laboratories, she realized that her decision to answer Princess Zara's desperate plea had changed the course of galactic history. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had friends, allies, and teachers among the stars. And it all started because one human scientist decided to help a desperate alien princess save her dying world. Sometimes, Elena thought with a smile, the most important decisions in the universe come from the simplest choice of all, choosing to care about others, no matter how different they might be.